Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome to Muscle Science for Women. We're your hosts. We deserve a 5-star rating on Spotify. I'm just going to throw that
We were
off
just
top.
talking about that for
If
10 minutes
you,
before we started the recording.
if this is the first time listening to this podcast, you're probably like, ew, I already
Yeah.
don't like you. 1 star. Anyway, no, I was just talking offline about all the different, like different platforms have different ways that people can give their feedback. And Spotify, all you can do is rate, which is a great thing because it's very easy for you listeners.
Mhm.
And we know how many ratings we have, and we know that we have way more listeners than we have ratings. So I'm just going to guilt you guys into it right now. All you have to do is go to Spotify and go to the podcast, and there's a little button there, and it says rate, and you just do 5 stars. 5 stars, not 4,
5 stars.
definitely not 1, but 5. Okay, so we'd really appreciate that. That would be super, super, super helpful.
Very helpful. It takes 5 seconds.
5 seconds, and it means the world to your favorite podcasters.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anything else you want to talk about? Anything you're up to? How's the gym these days for
Mm.
you? What's up? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like pretty much the same as the last time we recorded. Just been spending more time at the gym. Feels
Mhm.
good. Um, Puppy life is turning into like menace teenager or on the way to teenager life. I don't know. She's still she's about 18 weeks now almost. And
She's giving
like
you trouble?
she just she's so cute, but she wakes up in the morning and just like go like
Mhm.
7 o'clock, go like nonstop barking, wants to play, and I'm just like, oh my God. So I've been starting to take
Yeah.
her on walks more and like get the energy out, but it's hard to take her and Lilo on walks together because she doesn't like Mia doesn't know how to walk yet. So they're just like
Mhm.
running into each other and it's a whole thing. So
Chaos. Yeah.
that's my chaos.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just like having a toddler. It's like you wake up in the morning and
Yeah.
you don't get to sit quietly with your coffee and read the
Yeah.
paper. Absolutely not. There's like this chaotic small creature running around your house, whether it's a
Yeah.
dog or a person. You do not get a break until they go to sleep
Chill
at
out.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. How about you?
Let
What's
me
new?
think. Well, because of the timing of this recording, the stuff will all be in the past, but I'm getting ready to go do our big Europe trip, which I'm pretty
Mm-hmm.
excited about. Me and the fam, we're going to Denmark and Portugal, 2 places in Europe I've never been. And we're going to visit some friends in Copenhagen, and then we're going to just go check out Portugal because why not? And it
Yeah.
will be, I think, it'll be fun. It'll be exhausting, not a vacation at all. We're bringing Magnus. So, but I'm just excited to like eat some cool food. And I've just
Mm-hmm.
heard so many good things about both of those places. So stay tuned because I'm
That's
sure I will
awesome.
have some good food stories for you, if nothing else. Um, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I think we might as well just get into some questions, right? We
Yeah.
got a lot of them.
Let's do it. We do have a ton.
Can we start spicy?
Uh-huh.
Do you
You lead
remember
the
the
way.
spicy one? Okay, I'll lead the
I
way.
don't, but you lead the way.
Okay. I'm gonna bring it up right now. Okay. This one requested to be anonymous, and I think it was the first,
Okay.
I think it's the first email we've gotten because I'm always like, hey, can you guys send us like something interesting or funny or spicy instead of just like, how many macros should I eat? Like, I want something interesting in my inbox. And she, I think, delivered because she wants it to be anonymous, which I love. Um, okay. She
Oh
says,
boy. I
I have,
literally have not read this yet and I'm
you
reading
don't know
it
what it
now.
is? Oh, okay. I have a spicy question today. Can we
Oh my
talk
God.
about coregasms or exercise-induced orgasms? Specifically, how to prevent them. So some of you listening might be like, what? Why would you do that? Anyway, yeah, she says, although there are probably some listeners who want to hear the opposite, and that's cool too. But for
Mm.
me, they make my workouts super stressful. To be clear, I've never actually had one, but the sensation of almost climaxing while working out really bothers me. It's distracting and uncomfortable. That's understandable. She said, today I felt one coming during barbell back squats, and I was scared that if it happened, the loss of control might cause an injury. The only advice I found so far is to stop doing an exercise when you feel one coming on, but that would really mess with my strength goals. Any advice you have would be appreciated. And she says, don't share my name in case my coworkers listen to your podcast. Your coworkers might be jealous of you.
Wow. This
I
is
love this question.
I love this. This is fun. This
Yeah,
is
this
a
is a
very
fun
fun
question.
question and unexpected.
Yeah, but I mean, it's funny though, because it kind of shouldn't be. It is sort of a thing, like similar to, women peeing when they lift too heavy,
Mhm.
and people maybe don't talk about it enough, even though it's like a relatively common thing for women to experience. I think the same goes for this, actually. I don't know if you have any specific thoughts that you want to start right off the top. I have a couple thoughts, but
I mean, honestly, I have never experienced this
yeah, me neither. Wah,
myself.
wah. Yeah.
And yeah, I'm like kind of jealous.
Yeah.
Uh
Yeah.
I've never experienced this myself, and I'm like it's a topic that I've never also like talked about with other clients or heard
Mm,
much about from
okay.
clients that I've worked with, or even just like online, honestly.
Yeah.
This is like
I,
a newer topic for me. So
yeah, I mean,
what do
I've
you
I've
think?
done like a little bit of research. I've heard a little bit about it, and it is kind of indirectly related to pelvic health and core health, which is something I got quite into, obviously, in my first pregnancy when I was trying to make sure I didn't pee when I lifted and,
Yeah.
restore my core strength and stuff like that. But it does kind of come down to obviously individual physiology because again we're getting sexy here, okay, but some
Mhm.
people if get either aroused or stimulated or have physical reactions to sort of different stimulus, right, and some may
Mhm.
be more sensitive than others and whatever. And a lot of it is about sort of managing the internal pressure that's going on in your pelvic floor. So I do know, while this also has never happened to me, I do know that there are specific movements that may do in the gym, and especially when my core was weaker, where I would really notice different feelings in my core. Like I would notice like this either
Mhm.
doesn't feel great or it feels like it's, I don't know, just kind of doing something that's sort of uncomfortable.
Different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I think that it's sort of all related, but I know that there are probably, again, just some people who are much more sensitive to that kind of thing. And so it is a thing that happens. It's totally a thing that happens almost exclusively, I think, thankfully, to women. I don't think it's really happening. I mean, again, listen, any dude
Yeah.
listeners, you got a story
Who
for us?
knows?
Keep it, I don't know, PG, but let us know.
PG-13.
Yeah, but I think it is something that happens more to women, but obviously it sounds silly and it sounds fun, and maybe if you're, I don't know, doing a home workout, maybe it's something you want to go for. But I can definitely understand how if you're at the gym and this is something you're actually experiencing while you're working out,
Hmm.
it would be potentially embarrassing, potentially distracting, and at worst potentially kind of dangerous because
Yeah.
it would be probably difficult to do a heavy back squat when you're dealing with something else
Yeah.
happening in your body. And so I do think that really kind of the best initial advice is what she has already read, which is if you're experiencing these kinds of sensations internally with the movements that you're doing, to stop and or find alternatives that aren't doing it. So
Hmm.
one weird example for me, and again, I don't know if this is just like a postpartum thing, but for some reason, rope, like tricep pull downs, tricep extensions with a rope, like
Hmm.
on a cable, does something weird to my core. It feels weird. It feels like it's like
Tricep.
pulling, like you're at the machine and you're pulling down with
Yeah.
the yeah.
Yeah.
It just feels uncomfortable in my core. And I've tried, like, if I go light enough that it isn't doing it, it's not really doing anything
Mm.
for my arms anymore. So an example is I feel like my core internal pressure, my core strength, whatever is going on, doesn't handle that movement very well. It just kind of feels uncomfortable. So I go do one of the billion other tricep
Yeah.
exercises instead. And so that's like
Interesting.
my first thought for her. The other thing is, can you work on pelvic health, deep core strengthening? Can you work
Hmm.
on maybe breathing techniques? Do we know if she is holding her breath the entire time? Do we know if she's actually, let me look at this email. Do we know if we don't know if she's had kids. So we don't know if there's ever been any
Oh yeah. What did they say?
compromised core stuff that's going on there. that could relate to it, but you don't have to have given birth to have any kind of, pelvic health stuff, or even overly tight pelvic floor, which could be very likely what may be contributing to like overactivity happening there. So I think another thing, and I'm kind of just all over the place here, but I just hope that
keep going.
something I'm saying that may be landing with her. But one of the other things I think when people think of like core health, they think, okay, ab stuff, and then also like Kegels, right? Like the strengthening that kind of pelvic floor, like that muscle that when you try to stop the flow of pee, right? You're like clench, like that's a Kegel.
Yeah.
And what I have learned through my research is that very often it's our ability to actually fully relax that muscle that helps kind of establish more equilibrium in that area. Oftentimes that area is over tight. It's always contracted. We're always kind of walking around clenched. And that can cause problems, both with core strength and with working out and with pelvic function. So that may be something she wants to think about. And you can Google this, you can go on YouTube. There's videos about how to like actually do breath work that helps you relax that area and be able to just control the contraction and the relaxing of that area better. So maybe that's something she wants to pay some attention to as well. And she may get to a place where, and there's pelvic health physiotherapists. Maybe there's something going on there that she doesn't know about, that maybe is overactive or over tight or something. And if that gets sorted out, this doesn't become an issue with her in the gym anymore. So that's what I would say. I would say if you're worried about literally dumping the weight because you've got something going on in the middle of your squat, don't do it, because that is unsafe. Pick something else. And
pick a different movement, maybe like a more stable, like a hack squat or leg press or something like that.
Yeah. And then look into this pelvic health side of things, and maybe a professional or just maybe some more research and some work on your end will give you some answers in terms of why you may be over functioning or over tight, or and I don't know if that's what the case is, but it just seems like it could be something like that. So that's what I'd say.
And I'm gonna just say,
you're like I'm gonna do some Googling after this podcast.
Yeah, I'm literally like, I was maybe Googling a little bit.
Yeah,
while you were talking.
It is definitely a thing. And it's funny because I know there's probably some people listening who are like, I can't even when I'm trying to, and you're having them accidentally in the gym, and life is unfair anyway. But regardless of what your challenge is, a lot of it does go back to pelvic health and making sure that all that stuff, because it's a complicated system down there. There's a lot of muscles, there's a lot of things happening, and it's just good to be sort of connected to what's going on down there. All right.
Agreed.
Cool. More spicy questions?
Cool question.
Please send them.
Yeah, that was fun.
musclescienceforwomen@gmail.com. Muscle science, the number 4, women@gmail.com. We love your spicy questions. Cool. All right.
What are you thinking for the next one?
Do you want to do what do you lift, bro? This is just kind of like a light conversation.
Yeah, I can read it.
Yeah, go for it.
If you want. Okay. This is not anonymous, right? I just want to make sure.
No, I
feel like that's the first anonymous one.
I agree. Yep.
Okay, so Alana said, "Hey ladies, huge fan of the podcast. Thank you. I feel like this question is stupid, but I also know I'm probably not the only one who has it. I feel like there's no stupid questions here.
No.
Especially if you're taking the time to send in a question. It's not
exactly.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, she said, when people say how much they lift, are they typically referring to how much they can lift once or for a certain number of sets? For example, I'm 5'4", 115 pounds, and I'm 4 months into my first ever bulking phase. Awesome. After decades of eating only 1,200 calories and weightlifting to only a moderate intensity. I'm making gains as evidenced by progress photos that show new lean muscle mass, steady and slow weight gain, and consistent PRs. Amazing. Right now, I deadlift 70 pounds for 3 sets, 12 reps each set, but I read that an intermediate lifter should be able to deadlift around 125% of her body weight, which for me would be about 145 pounds. Is that okay? So she's asking, does this mean for like 1 rep, or should I be able to sustain that for 3 12-rep sets?
Yeah, this is a pretty sweet, like, meathead, get to the root of the meathead question. And like the title of this email is, what do you lift, bro? And I love that.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, and again, correct me if you feel differently, but I think when people are saying like a woman of a certain age should be able to deadlift this or a
Mhm.
man should be able to bench this, we're talking about a 1 rep max.
Yeah.
Like we're not
Yeah.
saying you should be able to lift your body weight 12 times for 3 sets or whatever, although that's also
Yeah.
a great thing. But when we're
Mhm.
saying you should be able to lift your body weight, it's usually at, minimum once, that's it.
Yeah. Typically it's referred to like what is your 1 rep max?
Right.
Um, which
Yeah.
is
And so,
one rep that you can lift, just to
yes.
clarify.
And again, because if someone's saying, what do you lift, bro? That is
Mhm.
definitely, again, cover your ears if you're sensitive, but that's like a total dick measuring kind of question. It's not
Yes.
like, it's not like, oh, I'd love to know the nuances of your strength training program. It's like, how strong
Yeah.
are you? Like, I want to know how much you've bench pressed in your life, like that kind of thing. So generally,
Yeah.
when someone's asking that question, they are saying, what's the most you've ever lifted once? Of course, as we talk about in this podcast and all the programs that we do, and when you kind of get more into the science of lifting, there's so much more nuance to what strength means than how much you can lift once. It's just a very easy and very kind of baseline measurement of someone's
Mhm.
pound for pound strength. You can say, I deadlifted this much once, and this is how much I weigh. It's very kind of easy to understand, right? Whereas if I tell you, like,
Mhm.
hey, I front squatted this much weight 7 times once at like a 2-time tempo,
Yeah.
whatever, you know what I mean? Like people don't know what that means. So,
Yeah.
but of course, if what you're doing is a bulking strength training program and you're doing progressive overload and you're paying attention to what your weights are, and in 2 months you're doing three sets of 12 reps at 100 pounds, that's significant progress, right?
Yeah.
And so that kind of stuff deserves to be celebrated and paid attention to and tracked just the same as a 1 rep max. And a lot of
Mhm.
people maybe don't are more nervous about 1 rep maxes. There's some more inherent like danger in
Mhm.
potentially in like trying to lift the most you possibly can. And so the more experienced you get, the potentially, I guess, less danger maybe that goes into that. But I can
Mhm.
see why that can be a intimidating thing. And for most people, unless you're training for something specifically, you're not trying to do a 1 rep max every other week. You're doing it very rarely
Yeah.
as like a benchmarking tool. Um,
Yeah. I would even say like I haven't done a 1 rep max for anything in uh,
yeah.
4+ years, and I don't do that with any of my clients because most of the clients that we work with are geared towards body composition changes, getting stronger and building muscle over time. And most people are not doing like none of my programming has 1 rep maxes in it because to me, that's not like conducive to what the goals are.
Right.
Maybe we'll have like a 5 rep max, which is like, okay, how many, for 5 reps, how much weight can you do? And, if you're going to do that now, compare that to 6 months from now or a year to now, that to me is going to be a little bit more productive because most people who are training with us or, people in the muscle science foreman program or our clients are typically lifting between the 5 to 20 rep range. Typically, most for mine are going to be between like the 6 to 12 to 15 rep range. Sometimes we'll go a little bit lower, like maybe in the 3s and 4s, um, like 3 and 4 reps for maybe like some big lifts like squats or things like that. But that's not gonna like we're not gonna stay there for a long time. And it's typically just because people don't necessarily need to, unless you're training for a specific competition, like a powerlifting competition, that's a different story. But most people that we work with, their goals are body composition changes, getting stronger, building muscle over time. And that's typically not going to be like 1 rep maxes or even 3 rep maxes very often. So I think it all just comes back to like, again, as we talk about all the time, what is your main goal? And are you paying attention to the metrics that are going to be conducive to that goal?
Mhm.
And for this question too, like, I honestly, like, to me, it just doesn't matter. Like, I don't really care what the research says about X amount of weight that you should be lifting for your body weight,
Mm.
because who knows? Yeah, that's based off of probably some good research over time, but who knows? Like, okay, you're doing a squat or a deadlift or whatever, but what is your range of motion? How is your tempo? Like you talked about, like, those are the things that matter for muscle growth over time, not can you move the weight from point A to point B once, right?
Yeah.
So
Unless you're a
for
strength
me, it's like,
athlete, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unless that's your goal, like, are you training, are you powerlifting,
Yeah.
Olympic lifting? If that's your specifics, then yes, that is going to be important to have. And like, if you have a coach, then they'll probably, you know, program that for you or talk you through that or have like progressions and things like that. But in general, I honestly just like wouldn't even pay attention to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Like I have not attempted a 1 rep max in a very long time. I will say, when I was younger and I was like into CrossFit, and then I did get into
Yeah.
powerlifting. So there was kind of some programming around that was specific, but like there are definitely certain kind of cultures and certain times in your life when you're just like, screw it, this is what I want to do because I want to
Hmm.
either test myself or show off, or I just feel fit and I want to do this or whatever. So that not everybody who is testing 1 rep maxes are doing it for a sport. Maybe they are doing it for fun and vanity. But the other thing to
Hmm.
consider too is that as you get more experienced, you can kind of generally extrapolate a 1 rep max based on what your like 3 rep max is or your 5 rep
Hmm.
max, which is again safer to do, more practical, probably more functional and more useful for whatever it is you're training for. And again, there's no, just like I'm always saying, like you generally don't need to know exactly what you weigh on a scale. You also generally don't need to know exactly
Yeah.
what your 1 rep max is. Like it's not that crucial,
Yeah.
but you can have a general sense and you could say, like, look, when I started this, I could deadlift 50 pounds 10 times, and now I can deadlift 120 pounds 10 times. I mean, those are impressive gains. And then you can sort of start to, again, extrapolate general numbers from that without actually having to do the 1 RM that could potentially be overly taxing or dangerous to your health.
Yeah.
Um, but
Agreed.
I do love what she's saying here, though. I can tell that she is listening to this podcast because she's saying things like she's doing progress photos, she's noticing slow and steady weight gain, she's having consistent PRs. So she's tracking a lot of things instead of tracking one thing and then freaking out when that one thing isn't telling her what she wants to hear,
Yeah.
because that's a very common hiccup for a lot of people who start a program, is like they track one thing obsessively and then get frustrated when it's not doing what they want it to do.
Yeah. There's so many different metrics and pieces to the puzzle
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
that you should be looking at for this. So
Sounds like she's doing a great job,
yeah.
and good luck and continue. And
Yes. And definitely not a stupid question because I can
no,
guarantee you there are so many people who've thought about this before too. So it was a
totally.
definitely good question.
Yeah, I like it. Okay.
Sweet.
Um,
What do you think?
you want to do deload week?
Yeah.
This is a good, like, straightforward
Yeah. And I feel like
info.
we're like this, it's kind of bringing things together. We're talking a lot of
Yeah.
training this episode, which is nice.
Yeah, I like it. Okay.
Okay.
Nicole says, love the podcast so much. Thank you. Have you given us a 5-star review by any chance? Okay.
And your friend, because you just,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Always tell
well,
my
sorry,
friend to
I'm
listen.
jumping ahead.
Appreciate you, Nicole. I appreciate you. Would love to hear your recommendations on how often to take a deload week and what to do. Do you walk? Do you run if you want? Stretch, yoga, etc.? What would you do and not do during a deload week? And would you do a true 7 days off? Would love all your thoughts. And
Mhm.
I want you to start with this because you're the programming guru, but I'm going to say what you would normally say, which is we get into deload weeks in extreme detail in our
Mhm.
program, Muscle Science for Women,
Yeah.
musclescienceforwomen.com. Go check it out. It's just one of the many things that we talk about at length that also and completely outline for you so that you know exactly what you're supposed
Mhm.
to do. And one of the reasons why our program is so much better than everybody else's, because we are extremely detailed and thorough and come at the
Yeah.
training from every angle. So consider trying our program out. But anyway, with
Love
that,
that plug there.
thank you.
Um, yeah, so I feel like with deload weeks, there are like some general guidelines that I follow, just typically the way that I program for clients and the kind of the way that we program in the Muscle Science for Women program. There's like some general outlines um, to follow, especially if you're following a specific program and you're staying consistent with it week to week. I do think, though, that there is some nuances to the individual, right? And where you're at, within your life, or like in terms of, if it's you're following a program over the holidays and there's a week where you're not going, that you're not going to go to the gym, for that full week, or you might get 1 or 2 days in, and that ends up being the week that you take a deload week just because it's convenient with your schedule. Or if you're going on a vacation and vacation's coming up, like for me, that's kind of how I structure my deload weeks now, because I have been traveling a little bit more. So I kind of know, like, all right, when I'm home, when I'm at the gym, that's when I'm pushing hard. And if I can kind of structure this to line up with a vacation or a time that I'm going to be away, for me, that makes the most sense, because when I'm away, I'm typically, yeah, maybe I'll go to the gym, in the hotel or something like that, but I'm not following necessarily my exact program because it's different equipment, things like that. So that's like one kind of thing just to think about in general. For you, how are you, like, what is your life, right? Because everybody is different. So your schedule, what works for you. The other kind of just like guidelines, and this is what we kind of talk about in the Muscle Science Forum program, depending on, your programming or who's making your program or what you're following, everybody's going to have a little bit of different way of setting up deload weeks, depending on the time frame. For example, if you're doing like a 5-week program and then the 6th week is a deload week, or maybe you're doing an 8-week program and the 9th week is a deload week, but maybe in that 8-week program, you're having certain things fluctuating within that program. So maybe there's like a little bit of an easier week that could be considered a deload week. So this is just to say, like, there's no black and white, in my opinion, to deload weeks, because everybody's a little bit different. And depending on what you're following, it's going to be a little bit different. But I would say typically in general programming, if you're pushing hard, like for 4 to 5 weeks, and you're really, getting after it, pushing close to failure, by that 5th or 6th week, typically, 6th week, depending, you're gonna feel like you need a little bit of a break, whether it's not just a physical break, but a mental break. Like if you've been going to the gym 4 times a week, 3 times a week, consistently for 5 weeks, you get to a point where you're like, okay, I feel like I'm just maybe dragging a little bit, or I'm not able to push as much as I was. And so that's where that kind of planned deload week can come in. And the benefit to that is, like, if you're following a program, you're like, okay, for these next 5 weeks, I know I'm pushing hard. And maybe you get to that 5th week and you're starting to feel like fatigued, but you have a deload week coming up next. You're like, okay, I can push through it because I have this break coming up. That's like another mental component to it. So I would say that to answer this question, a little bit more specifically, within that deload week, typically what I say is you're just kind of dropping, people do this different ways. They either drop the volume, which is the amount of work you're doing, or drop the intensity, which is basically how close to failure you're going, right? So if you're, going close to failure within like 1 to 2 reps during a deload week, typically we'll bring that back to like, an RIR of 4 to 5. So you're not going close to failure. You're letting yourself kind of flush out the fatigue of the previous weeks, or you're cutting your sets, right? So maybe if you typically do like 3 to 4 sets per exercise, we're cutting those down to like maybe 2 sets for a full week. Or you're doing a combination of both, right? So there's no like one way. For me, typically with my clients, the way I program is 5 or 6 weeks. 5 to 6 weeks. And then the 6 or 7 week is a deload week. And I use that week as then an intro into the next phase of training. So you're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So it's an intro deload week where you're now flushing out the fatigue from the previous phase, and you're starting to play around with some of the new exercises that are now coming into the next phase, so that you have time to kind of get used to those and feel them out, and you're not necessarily pushing, close to failure or doing a ton of sets, and you're kind of flushing out all that fatigue, both physically and mentally. That was kind of a lot all over the place, but did that make sense?
Was great. I think that was great. And I think again, to kind of maybe summarize some of this answer is, again, there's no black and white, and it does sort of depend on how you feel, what's going on in your life. If you decide that deload week is you're not in the gym at all and you go for a jog one day and you do yoga the next day, that's okay if that's planned. But it doesn't have to be that. It can literally be you going to the gym just like always, except maybe your volume's cut way down
Yeah.
or the intensity, whatever, the weight that you're using, things like that. It can really range, but it should also, it's funny because this is something that's coming up for me because I have a client right now who basically, because I've been working with her long enough that she'll be honest with me now, has admitted that, and I'll keep you anonymous too if you're listening. Not that it's anything to be ashamed of, it's very common, but she has basically been like, I do not listen to my body at all when I go to the gym. Like if
Mhm.
I go to the gym and I am starting to work out and I'm totally wiped out and my body's saying like, maybe you should take a chill day, I do not do it. And so anyway, it's sort of a reminder that it's like you should listen to your body,
Mhm.
you should pay attention. And yeah, maybe you're one of those people who's like, if I listen to my body, I'd eat Oreos and never work out. Okay, let's have some nuance here again. But go
Yeah.
to the gym and warm up properly and do some sets. And over time, you'll get good at listening and knowing the difference between your body maybe saying like, I've kind of had a long day, I'm like not really feeling this, but you're capable, versus your
Mhm.
body being like, I am burning out, like this is not good and I'm not going to feel
Yeah.
better after doing this, you know what I mean? And so that's the kind of like biofeedback you want to be getting when you're thinking about or trying to plan your deload week, is like, what should it look
Mhm.
like? Are you feeling good and you just want to cut down on volume and, like you said, experiment with some of the movements that are coming up? Or do you feel like you need to do 3 days of yoga and a walk because you're exhausted or whatever?
Mhm.
That matters more than what anybody else might tell you deload week should be.
Yeah. And there also will be some times where you just like, for example, if you get sick, like this kind of goes along with the vacation. Like if you have a week where you're sick and you're like, I just can't even go to the gym, and that ends up being just a complete rest week, and maybe in your programming you have like you're supposed to have a deload week like in 2 weeks, you have to be smart. And this is kind of also like work with your coach, and your coach should be able to kind of notice that like, hey, if you just had a full week off, do you actually need to have a deload week, within the next 2 weeks? Or do you just switch things around? And it's all going to be so individual depending on the person. But that's just another thing to kind of take into mind. And I feel like the more advanced you get, like the more you're going through this, the more you start to kind of feel your body responding to. So maybe it's like you have a program deload week in 3 weeks, but it's, you get to next week and you're just totally tapped. Like your body is fighting back against you. Maybe you've been pushing really, really hard for 4 weeks. And instead of kind of pushing through that, you're like, okay, it probably is smarter to take a deload week or even just take a few days at a lower intensity. So maybe you do drop the volume or drop the intensity, even just for like 1 to 2 days, and then you get right back into it. There's just no black and white, but the more that you become aware and start to recognize these things over time, the better you'll get at kind of managing, like, okay, like you said, do I actually need to take a little bit of a pause or back down on things? Or am I just kind of, not feeling it today mentally? So,
Making
do I
excuses.
push? Yeah, making
Yeah.
excuses. So you start to recognize the difference over time, at least for myself and for a lot of the clients I work with. You'll start to recognize it and
Yeah.
become more in tune with that.
Yeah, and you won't always get it right either. Like sometimes maybe you do phone it in and you kind of
Hmm.
feel crappy about it. And sometimes maybe you think, yeah, I'm just being a wuss. I'm going to push through. And it was the wrong decision to do. And that's okay because
Hmm.
none of us are perfect. The problem comes when we have clients who are routinely either not working hard enough and challenging themselves, or more
Hmm.
likely working too hard and burning themselves out. When you do this week over month over year, that's when it's a problem. Like none of us are
Yeah.
perfect every day. We don't get it right every day. It's okay. But the
Yeah.
more you try to tune in and really listen and pay attention to even how you feel after the workouts, all of that stuff,
Yeah.
you're going to get, better at it
Yeah.
as you go.
And I think one more thing I just want to mention too, because I think this is really important. You kind of said this already, but it's kind of like the warm up rule, or the rule of like, okay, I'm really not feeling it today, but I have this workout planned. What do I do? Do I just not go? Typically, the every I always recommend, and this is what I do for myself, is unless you're like severely sick or like something's really, really wrong, go and commit to 15 minutes. Like go do a little bit of a warm up, commit to doing the first exercise. Like 1 to 2 sets is the first exercise. If you're still feeling absolutely horrible, energy is low, then at least you kind of got there and you tested it out and you didn't, make an excuse to just not go. 90% of the time, you will get there. You will go
Mhm.
through the first exercise and you'll be like, oh, okay, I'm feeling it. Put
Mhm.
a little music on, get up, maybe just like get that heart rate up a little bit. Like typically that's again, 90% of the time, you will then feel pretty good to continue. And for the most part, a lot of people will end up having, like, I know for me, I've had that happen several times and I've ended up having an amazing workout when I thought I
Mhm.
wasn't even going to get it in. And sometimes it's
Mhm.
not amazing, but sometimes you check the box. And especially like on a Monday, for example, if you're like, for me, I know that if I skip a Monday, I kind of like start Tuesday. I'm like, oh crap, I have to like start from, you know, ground zero, whatever, like, and feel like I'm already defeated for the week. Whereas if I'm still pretty like tapped on a Monday after a long weekend, even if I just go and do like 20 minutes of something, I feel like I've already checked that box for the week. And it helps me with my momentum going into like Tuesday, where I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not really starting off fresh. I've already done a little bit and I can kind of keep that momentum going. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
mental stuff behind that, but I feel like that is definitely a huge piece of it as well.
I completely agree with you. And I think it's really about the practicing what you preach component of not trying to beast yourself or be paralyzed by like the perfection aspect of it. Like I've really bought into this recently since I've, my workout routine obviously looks very different and is not quite as badass maybe in some capacities as it used to be, but I'm 100% like that. I'm like, I'm going because every time I tell myself I kind of don't feel like it, I'm not going to go. It's chipping away at this long-term behavioral routine thing that I do for myself that's healthy. And I have friends too who that's the biggest thing that they tell me is they're like, I just can't make myself go. Like I just because it's the inertia thing. It's like, you're supposed to brush your teeth every day. I hope you guys are doing that.
Mhm.
You're supposed to eat your protein, you're supposed to eat, you're supposed to drink water, you're supposed to whatever, put your pants on before you go to work. Again, hope you're doing that. But you're supposed to do
Unless
that.
you're
And it's
working
not,
from home, you don't have to put pants on.
well, yeah, listen.
Am I wearing pants right now? You'll never
Hmm,
know.
hey, just go like this. Just go like this with the camera. Are you watching on YouTube right now? Anyway,
Yeah, maybe we should
um,
watch on YouTube. May
yeah,
or may not
yeah,
be wearing pants.
maybe you should. Anyway, but it's like one of those things where when you do it every day, like you brush your teeth, it's really not that hard. And it doesn't mean you have to go and kill yourself every day. It means that you've gone and said, like you said, I'm checking the box. It's an investment I make in my health. I do it.
Mhm.
And even if it wasn't that great and all I did was, listen to a podcast on a treadmill or stretch or something, that's still something good that you're doing
It's
for your
better than
body.
nothing.
100%. So that's what I've been telling this one of my girlfriends who's just like, I just can't make myself like I
Yeah.
just don't want to. I'm like, literally drive to the gym. You're 5 minutes
Yeah.
away. Just
Sit in the
drive there,
car even
sit in there. Cause
and
then you
drive
might
back home
feel,
if you have to.
but you
Yeah.
might feel dumb sitting in the car. You might be like, screw it, I'll just go in. And then
Yeah.
you get in there, you're just like, screw it, I'll just do this one thing. And then you'll
Yeah.
feel better. I love that like cascading effect of just like
Yeah.
start building it in because it's so much harder to start from a stopping
Mhm.
position. And if you just kind of keep it rolling, just keep it rolling.
Yeah. And the more you do that too, the more like you have those moments. I know, especially for me, like the more times that I'll have these feelings of like, okay, I'm not going to go today, I'll just push it to tomorrow, but then I end up going. And maybe that's happened like 5 times within like, I don't know, a 3 month period, who knows? By that fifth time, it's just easier. It's just like we
Yeah.
talk about, doing things and building that resilience. It just becomes easier and easier to make that different decision because it comes more habitual. And so just even like committing to like, okay, for the next 3 times that I have this feeling, I'm going to commit to at least just putting my shoes on and walking in the gym door for 10 minutes. Like that's your commitment, 10 minutes. I don't care if you leave or stay, but that's the commitment you're making. And it just becomes easier and easier to do that
Mhm.
further down the line.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
it. Okay, let's do one more question because this is a nice
Okay.
light one to end off, and I like it. It's the fun health perk question.
Okay. Oh, got it.
I've
Do you want
got
me
it.
to read it? Did you read
Yeah,
the
go
last
ahead.
one?
Yeah,
Okay.
you go ahead.
Okay. Hi, Ashley and Rachel. I absolutely love your podcast and have listened to every episode going back
Oh,
to Muscle Maven
oh
Radio.
shoot.
Ooh,
OG. Thank you.
the
Appreciate it.
OG. I also just started listening to Rachel's Netflix and Chill podcast. Awesome.
Nice.
that podcast is not live anymore, but there are over 100 really great episodes. Just
It's still
FYI. So
live.
if
It's just you just aren't
it's
recording
live,
any
but it's not.
episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, I've switched over to our podcast, and then I
Yeah.
also have Mini Flex, which is just like a 5 to 10 minutes of like small clips of things. If anybody wants to check those out. Anyway,
Cool.
I lift first thing in the morning, 5 days a week, and listening to you both helps me stay motivated and entertained. This makes me so happy.
Sweet. Yeah.
I have a fun question I would love your thoughts on. My health insurance company awards me $250 yearly for completing my physical and other preventive health measures. And this year, I'm not sure how to spend that money. I'm determined to use it solely for something health and wellness related. For reference, my husband and I have a home gym with a power rack. We have free weights and a cable machine. We also have a Peloton bike and a concept rower. So our gym is pretty stacked. So I don't think more equipment would necessarily be the best option. I would love any and all of your suggestions. Ooh, so we have $250 to
Yeah.
work with.
This is cool. This is a
Boy.
fun question. I like these,
Yeah.
again, like kind of thought experiment questions. And it's so nice to have money sort of directly aligned for doing something good for yourself that you don't have to feel like, oh, I should just save this or I should put this into
Yeah.
something more responsible or something. You just are like, I'm spending this on like a fitness or a health thing. And I love that. And it does sound like you have a pretty sweet gym. So I wonder how broad this is. Like, could it be like buy yourself a really nice outfit or like a pair of sneakers? Like, I would say my
Yeah.
initial thought is like, go fun, because if this is sort of bonus money, like don't be dumb about it, but don't be like uber responsible with it too. Like do something fun. Like maybe
Yeah.
sign up for a class or like a program or something that you wouldn't
Sometimes like
otherwise.
massages and things. I know Alex
That
gets this for
too.
like a stipend for work.
Yeah.
And like it can cover anything that's like
Like body
personal health
work.
related, which can be like body work, massages, like even this could be cool. So like there's so many different things popping up. Like have you ever heard of like float tanks where you
Oh
go in
yeah.
and you literally just like float?
Oh yeah.
So there's certain things that are like or like doing like cryotherapy where you stand in the machine and it's like
Mm-hmm.
uh so something like that, like something maybe that you've been wanting to try that you're like, oh, I don't know if that's worth the money, which it might not be,
Yeah.
but it's kind of just like a
Yeah.
fun, different thing.
Well,
That's what I would do.
I have done float tanks. Have you done one?
I have not, but it's on my list. There's like a place a
They're
few blocks away, actually.
they're crazy. And I'm not,
Yeah.
again, the most easily relaxed person. And I come out of those feeling like I'm in another dimension. Like some people like fall asleep or like lose track of time or whatever. I don't do any of that, but I come out of it like incredibly relaxed. So that might actually be
Wow, I
something
need to
cool.
do it.
I think like the
Make a note. It's been
massage,
on my list.
yeah, do it and report back because it is kind of a pretty wild experience. Um, the massage thing I love a massage, but I almost feel like $250 doesn't like go far enough. Like
Mm.
you get like maybe two massages out of that. I mean, it's still
Yeah.
great, but I agree with the idea of like something that maybe you wouldn't want to spend the money on otherwise, like something that's maybe a bit more experimental or maybe a little outside of your comfort zone, or like, I don't know, sign up for like a
Mhm.
dance class or like some kind
Yeah.
of fitness class that you wouldn't do otherwise or something. That's what I think would be
Yeah.
really fun, like something you just would not spend your own money on. So spend
Mhm.
this like extra bonus money on. I think that would be really cool. And I would love for
Agreed.
Alexis to let us know what she ends up spending the money on. Because again, if you have like free reign, like you can do whatever, like buy yourself like a really expensive pair of gym shoes or something.
Yeah.
So that's also what I would just do, something kind of like
Yeah.
indulgent, you know? Um,
Agreed.
I love that. That's a very cool, and that's a great, these are great incentives, right? Like incentives for doing something that you really should be doing for your health anyway, but it's
Yeah.
good to incentivize these things. That's cool. All right.
Awesome. Sweet. I think we hit on a bunch of things today.
I think we answered some questions. I think we got some stuff done.
Yeah.
That's it.
All
That's
right.
all I got.
That's it.
Thanks for
And
listening.
if you listened all the way through and you enjoyed it, one more time, we would love quick 5-star review. It would
Five
help.
star.
It helps more than you think. So
It
that's all
helps
I'll
more
say.
than you think. And when one negative Nancy gives us, which is what I think happened. Anyway, we talked
Yeah,
about it
same.
offline. But anyway, people like our podcast. It's pretty good. It's pretty well reviewed,
Yeah.
but you can go and help us. Okay. And the more you do that, the longer we'll keep doing this for you. So
Oh, yeah,
appreciate
true.
you guys.
And check out our programs as well if you are interested in more details. And yeah,
you know what we should have
that's it.
told Alexis? She should have just signed up for our either our glutes
Oh, yeah.
or
Oh,
our shoulder
yeah.
program. So maybe do that, Alexis.
Yeah.
Okay. Sign up for
do
muscle
that.
science for women. We're so good at
You
selling
are.
our programs. We're like, go buy some shoes. No,
Go
buy
buy
the
some
program.
shoes. Literally, that didn't even come to my mind either.
I know, we're the worst. Anyway,
Okay.
on that
Cool.
note,
Well, don't do stupid shit.
don't be insane.
Don't be insane. Okay. Bye.
Bye.